Hi, I'm Katie.
And I'm Kristen, and Katie and I work together, and we're also longtime friends, and we're here flying our blue-throat macaws. They're both 6 months old, and they are sisters. When we first started thinking about doing free flight to begin with, we actually had kind of a two-part plan. So we already had birds and we knew we really wanted to free fly, but the birds that we currently had weren't the best free flight prospects. So we wanted to go through the course with our current birds that we would want to have out in the field with us and be able to participate as much as they could, and then learn all the techniques and the training skills before we got baby blue throats for flying, so that we made sure that we were really conditioning them the right way from the first day at being babies and making sure that they were really going to enjoy flying.
Definitely felt like we needed to have babies after our previous birds.
Yes. And so we decided we would get sisters from the same clutch so that they would hopefully have the best prospect of flying together and being able to have fun together when we go and fly on the weekends. I think before the blue throats, the reason I wanted a baby was just because having a new frame of mind for free flight, there are different things that I needed to prepare the baby for right. Like desensitizing to the environment, to being outside, to being around other birds and other people, driving in the car, going in a backpack, all of these things that you don't think about that are a little bit harder with the older birds. And so having a baby for that has made it much easier. This is her very first trip and she doesn't care. Like, she's just looking out the window, having a good time, and like, I guess this is what life is here. So it's great because we know that it'll be much easier. Unlike the older birds that are throwing up in the car,
right?
And
like, take a pit stop so we can give a bird a break. It's just
exactly
like a kid seeing everything for the first time, watching them take their really big first flight. It's so exciting.
It's really good to learn from each other because we all have different species and different types of birds that are different ages and have different backgrounds. And so it's really nice to see what has worked for other people, what hasn't, just to see their training style and how their bird's responding to that. It helps me with little things that may come up in the future with my birds to be able to recall that experience from other people And I really enjoy the debriefings that we do after we fly each day. Go around and then we talk about how all of our birds did and what we struggled with and what we're hopeful for and what went well. And during that, you really learn a lot because you have BirdTricks giving direction on how to help birds with certain tendencies and how to make the whole experience safer. And so you learn that for your own bird and for our own flock at home, and how to help all of our birds at the same time. Matt was just telling like Sandy last night, he's like, I don't think Dave and Jamie know, but like they're the reason we have our Moluccan. Like we got that Moluccan and he clearly has been in a lot of homes and has a lot of behaviors, and I just binge watched everything and I learned so much and trained him, and that's the reason he's like thriving in our house. And it's the whole reason we got more birds too, so it was huge for us.
Well, huge. I'm sorry.
You had met Romeo, you would understand how big that is.
It's huge.
That's awesome.
It's huge.
You say we may know, but we have no idea. I would venture to say we have no idea. Like we want to believe we're making an impact, but we don't always hear like what the impacts are that are positive.
One of the things I struggled with Paisley in training is when they start out as babies and you're just encouraging flight altogether and encouraging them to fly to you, you're just encouraging everything. And I got to a point where with Paisley, she then was just used to encouragement, so everything she did was wonderful. But then I started to get stuck on an area where she didn't feel the need to come right away. And so I had to modify my training and start going into the perfect recall. And Dave was able to give me direction in only rewarding her when she came the first time, and then transitioning that into coming quickly, like within a few seconds. And I think that was something I had to learn, because when they're babies, you just want to be like, oh, good job, you did amazing all the time. And like I had mentioned earlier, we want to make sure we're doing everything the right way. Had I continued down that path, I would have created even more problems for myself and for her in having to untrain that later. So I think that was like a moment where BirdTricks was able to just really intervene right away and to help me change that before I got stuck and it became more of a long-term problem.
My perspective on training was so different from training Pepper that I started out with areas that needed some tweaks. They weren't just really great. So Dave was really helpful in pointing out things that he said. I was like, oh, duh.
Having somebody else watch your videos in your training is a game changer. I'm not really sure how people could train recall without professional trainers really guiding you the whole way, because it's not just you call your bird and your bird comes. Like, it's not that. Like, you have the factors of needing to make sure your bird's enjoying it, that they feel safe, that they feel confident. You need to, everything builds upon itself, and the behavior of your bird is really important in getting those foundations from the beginning, so you're not ending up with a bird that doesn't want to fly because it might be a negative experience for them. Mm-hmm. So having somebody to also notice in the videos or notice in the training that, they're not really liking when you're doing that. Oh, like I have Maggie's a cockatoo, and she just loves to be touched, and she just wants me to kiss her head and, oh, good job. And then I get a macaw. They're not quite the same.
I think my favorite moment was today when both Ember and Paisley took off. Did so much fun flying together. They are obviously enjoying it, and then obviously I enjoyed it because then they both came back to us.
Yes, and at a cow dung location, we have a really cool video that my husband took of them, and as soon as they went off the cliff, both of them went straight down, kind of back and forth, and you just see yellow, blue, and then you can see how much fun they're having. Mm-hmm. I love that. Just the fact that they're having fun, because you could want to do free flight with your bird, but your bird may not want to do it, and then what do you do, right? So this is really...
You get a second bird.
Or a third, or a fourth. And now we have so much fun that I'm like, oh, Paisley only lasts a couple hours. I'm going to need another one for the next couple hours because I'm not done. I want to watch them fly more.
like birds are just like people. Everyone learns at their own rate of speed. And also the trainers are different, right? Different factors. So there's the different person, the different trainer, you know, many factors come into that.
Yeah, they have very different personalities, which we could see from day one when we got them. Paisley's pretty intense. She's just very hyper. She never stops moving. So she figures out a lot of things behavior-wise on her own. That's her behavior. She's always playing and getting into everything. So then they learn different techniques that way, which is great for free flight, not so great for home life. But then Ember's just super like laid back and chill, and she just sits there all floofy and happy and content all the time. Like it's very different.
Not always.
And so I think they had different reactions to the training just because their personalities were so different even.
Yeah.
You can't tell them apart while they're flying, which was proven when they took this really big flight, and they had gone so far they even like went out of sight for a second, and we were just joking about this. We're like, I think they're doing it on purpose. It's like that like cup game where you like switch things around and you're like, which one is the ball under? Or which one has the ball? And it's like they go out of sight and then they start flipping around. And when they come back out, we're like, I don't know, which one's which?
Which one's gonna come?
I know, I think that one's looking at me more. And so I was sure it was Paisley. I was so sure that was Paisley. Like I had been watching her the whole time, I thought, but that's how quick they are and like how fast they're playing in the sky. And I was all happy. Good job, Paisley. You came back. You recalled. That was perfect. You did amazing. And Katie's like, no, that's Ember. Here's your bird. Dang it. And then the next flight right after that, the first thing I did was like look at her like, do I have it? Ah, yes. I got the right bird this time.
Really though, if just they both come back to us, I feel like that's a win.
That's a win. It is. It's a win.
Let's just say if you're gonna free flight, get the right bird, because otherwise you're gonna go with 4.
Yes. And you might want to ask for an opinion from professional bird trainers on what that right bird might be, because you may think it's one thing and later find that a blue-throat macaw is always the right answer. Always the right answer, which has been proven on this trip. There's a lot of uncontrollable variables out in the environment when you're flying, so you can have the best trained bird that recalls perfectly, but you don't know if a predator bird's gonna come or a gust of wind's gonna take them, or somebody's gonna shoot a gun somewhere off in the distance and it makes a loud noise, and then your bird just flies off because they're scared for a minute. And so it's nice to know that we have that extra reassurance to know exactly where they went and how to find them.
I do think it's an amazing supportive community. I think people are always asking advice, giving advice. There's that unconditional support for everyone. Everyone wants to provide help in any situation, whatever it can be. So I think that's huge. It's also really great to have this support because sometimes you have questions and you have someone else who maybe has gone through it. So the community is really helpful. Always. It's not like you come to your flight trip and then it's over. I mean, it continues throughout the entire time you have your birds.
I like the motivation too. They really motivate you to keep doing the right things, keep staying on the right diet. It's so important.
Yeah.
Having them on the right diet, having them sleeping enough, having them always being trained with consistency. I think having other people that are motivating you to keep up with that, because it's a lot. It's you know, you really have to be training your bird all the time. You need to keep them. Once they're trained, they don't just stay that way. You have to keep working with them and making sure it's consistent, which also makes it great when you come to the flight trips, because you're surrounded by people who have the exact same training as you, and so they are treating their birds the way you treat your birds. They are they're doing the same things that you are, so you know it's very safe to have the other people around you. They're not going to be influenced negatively by other people or other birds. What's our next bird going to be?
Oh my goodness. Well, you know, I'm pretty sure our husbands want in on the action, but we'll see.
That's true. We're going to keep up the momentum, and after this trip, our plan is to just every weekend get out there and keep them flying and keep them conditioned and keep them having fun, because free flight's not just fun. It is imperative to the health of the bird too.
And keeping it up, because if we only fly them once a year or twice a year, they can't keep those skills that they learn every trip. Keep conditioning and keep training, even if we're not coming to a flight trip the following week. It has to be every day, all day. It's a big commitment, so make sure you want to do it.
Thank you, Lori.
Paisley, come on.
I don't know which one's which.
Paisley.
All right.
Come on.
We know who's buying dinner.
Come on.
Oh, I guess we don't know.
Oh, Paisley. Come on, Paisley. Come on. Woo!
Nice.
Good girl.
That's actually Ember.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh my god, it is Ember.
So proud of your bird, aren't you?
I'm proud of Katie and how smug she delivered that.
I love that too. The tail mount has pink on it. That's how we
Did the right
tell.
husband grab the right bird then?
No.
Let's see.
That's hilarious. We have Ember.
Good girl. He thinks he has Ember, I bet you.